Today, we're tackling a story that's causing waves across British politics. A major Supreme Court ruling that has significant implications for women's rights and single-sex spaces. But what's really grabbing attention is the complete silence from Labour leader Keir Starmer on this issue.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But we counsel against reading this judgment as a triumph of one or more groups in our society at the expense of another. It is not.
Meanwhile, behind closed doors, some Labour ministers appear to be working against the ruling. So, what's going on? Why the silence? And what does this mean for the Labour Party and its supporters? Let's dive deep. The Supreme Court recently handed down a ruling that affects millions of women in the UK. This decision clarifies that single-sex spaces, like changing rooms and shelters, should be based on biological sex. This ruling doesn't take away rights from transgender people, nor does it create new rights for women. It simply affirms existing legal principles. Given the scale and sensitivity of this ruling, many expected Keir Starmer to speak out, to reassure women and the wider public about Labour's stance. But so far, nothing. No public statement, no press conference, no tweet, just silence. This silence is especially striking because this ruling has sparked passionate public debates. Women's groups have expressed relief and support for the decision, while some transgender rights activists have voiced concerns. The issue is complex and emotional, touching on identity, safety, and equality. In the middle of this, Labour's silence is deafening. It raises questions. Is the party unsure how to respond? Are they trying to avoid alienating parts of their voter base? Or is there something else going on behind the scenes? Here's where things get even more interesting. Recently, leaked WhatsApp messages from Labour ministers have come to light. In these private conversations, some ministers express alarm over the official government guidance that will follow the ruling. Angela Eagle, Labour's Minister for Border Security, reportedly described the guidance as catastrophic for transgender people. This suggests that within the party, there is significant concern about how this ruling will affect transgender rights and how Labour should respond. But let's be clear, the Supreme Court ruling does not strip away rights from transgender individuals. It simply clarifies that single-sex spaces should be based on biological sex, which has been the legal standard for decades. So why the panic? Why are some Labour ministers apparently preparing to resist or undermine the ruling behind closed doors? Political insiders suggest that Labour is caught in a difficult balancing act. On one hand, they want to support transgender rights and avoid alienating LGBTQ+ voters. On the other, they risk losing support from women and others who see the ruling as a protection of their rights. This internal conflict may explain the public's silence from Starmer. Speaking out risks upsetting one side or the other. Staying silent, however, risks accusations of cowardice or ignoring women's concerns. Public opinion is divided. Some polls show a majority of women support the ruling, while others highlight growing frustration with political leaders who appear disconnected from these debates. Meanwhile, protests and demonstrations continue across the country. Statues have been vandalized, and social media is ablaze with heated arguments. The issue is not going away anytime soon. So, what does this mean for Labour? If the party continues to avoid a clear position, it risks losing trust among key voter groups. Women who feel sidelined may look elsewhere, while transgender supporters may feel Labour isn't doing enough. It's a political minefield. Keir Starmer's silence could be seen as a strategic decision to avoid controversy. But in politics, silence often speaks louder than words, and sometimes it can be damaging. What do you think about Keir Starmer's silence on this crucial ruling? Is Labour handling this issue the right way, or is the party losing its way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.